Alright, today we're doing matrix inverses, and what we want to do is we want to find the inverse for each matrix that I give you. So let's look at this first one right here. So yesterday what we did was we wanted to find the determinant, and that's basically doing cross multiplying. When I circle the first diagonal, also known as the main diagonal, I have 2 times 8. That's going to give me 16, right? So I'm going to put a 16 right here. When I circle the other diagonal, this 4 and this 3, I'm going to get 12. So I'm going to put that right there. When I subtract them in the very middle, I get 16 minus 12, and that's going to give me 4. And I circle my answer. So that's how I get this number over here, this 1/4. Notice that the answer always goes on the bottom, but a 1 is always going to go at the top. You're always going to have a 1 at the top of these situations. Okay? The answer is always going to go at the bottom. And notice I always get a fraction for my answer right here. The next thing I want to do is I want to take the matrix that I'm given and I want to switch it up a little bit. So here's the way it's going to happen. Let me circle the main diagonal, this A and this D right here. What I'm going to do with these is I'm going to switch them. So it used to be that the A is up here, now the D is up here. The A used to be right here, I just switch it with the D. So all I'm doing is I'm switching this diagonal. The next thing I want to do is I want to circle the next diagonal. So let's try that. I get BC. Now I'm not going to switch this one. Instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to put negatives on them. Negatives. So instead of having positive B and positive C, I'm going to get negative B and negative C. At the very end, what I have to do is I have to multiply everything on the inside by the number that's on the outside. And it's always going to be a fraction that's at the outside. And whatever answer I get, that's going to be called my matrix inverse. That's called a matrix inverse. Alright, so let's try the first one. I have 2, 1, 4, 3. So let's go ahead and circle the main diagonal. That's going to be this right here. 2 times 3, that's going to give me 6. So I write 6. The next thing I want to do is I want to circle the next diagonal, this 1 and this 4. 1 times 4, that's going to give me 4. At the very end, I subtract them, and whatever I get, that's going to be my answer. But that's not where I stop. The next thing I have to do is I have to take this number that I have and put it at the bottom of the fraction. So you should get 1/2 for this. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to switch up the matrix. Instead of having 2, 3, I'm going to switch those. I'm going to have 3, 2. So that's the main diagonal. The other diagonal I put negatives on. So instead of having a positive 1 and a negative 4, or a positive 1 and a positive 4, I just put negatives on them, right? You should get negative 1 and negative 4. So now I've got this nice edited matrix that I can use to solve the problem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply everything on the inside by what's on the outside. And if you have trouble with this, it's fine to use a calculator. When we multiply by 1/2, we get 3 times 1/2. That's going to give me 3/2. Or 1.5. They're the same number. The next thing I do is I multiply the next number by 1/2. Negative 1 times 1/2, that's going to give me negative 1/2. Or negative 0.5, right? That's just another way of saying negative 1/2. Let's do the next row now. I multiply everything on the bottom row by 1/2. So negative 4 times 1/2, that's going to give me negative 2. And 2 times 1/2, that's just going to give me 1. And then I circle my answer. This is my matrix inverse. Now, let's try number 2 together. And then the rest I'll leave you to do for homework. Running out of room, so I'll just skip over here. Let's try number 2. For number 2, I've got 1, 0, 0, 1. Okay. First thing I do is I circle my main diagonal. Good enough. 1 times 1, that's going to give me 1. Next, we circle the next diagonal. 0 and 0. 0 times 0 is going to give me 0, obviously. And then at the very end, we subtract them and we circle our answer. Okay? So this is going to be at the bottom of the fraction, but a 1 is always going to be at the top. So I actually have 1 over 1. Alright, so what's the new matrix going to be? Well, if I switch the main diagonal, if I switch these two from their places and I just swap them out, since they're the same number, I'm still going to get 1, 1. For the next diagonal, remember, I'm not switching this diagonal. I'm going to put negatives on them. But a negative 0, that's the same thing as a positive 0. 0 is neither positive nor negative. It's just 0, right? So there's no point in writing negative 0. Or a positive 0 for that matter. If I put a negative on this, I'm still going to get 0. Alright. 1 divided by 1, that's just going to give me 1. This matrix stays the same. So really what I'm doing now is I'm multiplying everything on the inside by what's on the outside. I'm going to multiply everything on the inside by 1. So here's what I get. Starting off, 1 times 1, that's going to give me 1. 0 times 1, that's going to give me 0. Let's do the next row. 0 times 1, that's also going to give me 0. 1 times 1, that's going to give me 1. So this is my answer. This is my matrix inverse. Matrix inverse. All right. We're going to try one more together. Number 9. So looking at number 9, I put a star beside it. That's for a special reason. This one actually doesn't have an inverse. So you're going to write no inverse. No inverse whatsoever. And I'll show you why this is true. Let's try number 9 together. So number 9 is going to be 3, 3, 3, 3. All the numbers are the same. So 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay. Circle the first diagonal. So that's going to be this 3 and this 3. 3 times 3 is going to give me 9. Okay? Then we circle the next diagonal. That's also 3, 3. 3 times 3 is also going to give me 9. Same number. And then at the very end, we subtract, right? We subtract 9 minus 9 is 0. And I circle my answer. So now what we got to do is we have to make a fraction just like we did last time. A 1 is always going to be at the top. And the answer that we got is always going to be at the bottom of the fraction. So since we got a 0, we got to put 0 at the bottom. Uh-oh. Do you see the problem? We are dividing by 0. Dividing by 0. And of course, that's not allowed. We can't divide by 0. 1 divided by 0, if you try that in a calculator, it's going to give you an error, right? So that means we can't really multiply a new matrix by whatever this fraction is. And since we can't do it, we say that this matrix has no inverse. So that's what you want to write over here, no inverse. So for your homework, go ahead and finish this page. If you have any missing assignments, make sure you turn those in by Thursday night. I'll talk to you tomorrow.